All right. Welcome to Pan African Perspectives, the weekly live stream where we talk to folks who have made the move, who are living on the continent, have businesses, and are investing in the continent, all with the goal of helping us see Africa reach its rightful place on the world stage. My name is Joe Hatagwa. I am a Sierra Leonean American and founder of Authentic African, and my goal is to help people move, visit, and or invest on the continent. Generally, with these live streams, I either talk about my story moving to the continent. I just spent the last 4 years living in West Africa. I'm in Sierra Leone right now. Shout out to Pearl Hotel, who's allowing me to use their lovely penthouse suite. But yes, I'm going live from here. And I'm in Sierra Leone and in Ghana and towards the end of this year. So we'll talk a little bit more about what that is. But today, we have a special guest who we're going to talk to who has a business in Ghana. And we're going to talk a little bit about who he is first, and then I'll bring him on. So he's a seasoned finance professional with over 15 years experience. His name is Sena. He's worked in finance, project management, financial strategy, and corporate leadership within global organizations. At the heart of his life is his love for God, which he serves as his guiding principle. Beyond his corporate accomplishments and his love for God, he's deeply passionate about wellness and fitness. He's a qualified coach and an advocate for holistic health. He believes in the transformative power of living intentionally and being accountable for one's well-being. And this passion actually led him to co-found Active Nomads Ltd, a wellness brand that creates a vibrant community for like-minded individuals who embrace health as a lifestyle. So it's a dynamic wellness brand dedicated to empowering individuals and organizations to to prioritize health and well-being through expertly crafted fitness programs, immersive wellness retreats, and premium sports merchandise. He inspires a community to embrace wellness as a lifestyle. Is rooted in the belief that health is wealth. Active Nomad fosters a community of accountability, balance, and intentional living. So whether you seek to recharge, reconnect, or redefine your wellness journey, Active Nomads is here to guide you and support you every step of the way. So now, for those of you who are watching online, I need you to tell me, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up so I know you can hear me before I bring our guest on. Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up. And let us know where you're watching from. And with that, let me bring on Sena. Sena, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Joe? Thanks for having us.
Good. Of course. Thanks for doing this. I know that we, just like a couple of the most recent live streams, this has been a quick turnaround.
Yep.
We were introed by Ya. Shout out to Ya, who's apparently in Ghana right now, who made this happen, who introduced us. And I said, you know what? I like what you're doing. We had a conversation one on one, and then we
Yep.
said, let's come on here and tell your story. Um, so before we get into some of the questions that I have,
Yep.
do you want to kind of give everybody a little bit of your background beyond what I've said already? I mean, you've worked in finance, you're in Ghana now. Anything you want to tell the folks about, yourself before we start diving into the questions?
I think you've said most of it anyway, but just I guess a quick add-on. Originally born in Ghana, but spent most of my adult life in the UK, so 20 plus years. Did studied in Ghana up to high school. Had some great relationships, but moved to England. Did an accounting and finance degree. I always ask myself why, but as I think African parents always want you to do something that has a professional kind of tone to it. So did that,
Yes.
graduated, started off as an accountant, and I enjoy finance. So I'm not going to sit here and say I hate it, but I didn't enjoy traditional accounting. But the knowledge, I can deny how important it is. And it's been quite pivotal in my finance career, working for some global organizations, delivering some amazing projects, which has taken me around the world, and it gave me my first opportunity to work back on the continent in Nigeria, which I enjoyed a great deal, and kind of reignited my love to come back to the continent and then contribute in whatever way I can. So from that journey, went back to England and been in England working for quite some time. But during the pandemic, everybody was working remote, so I spent a lot of time working in Ghana, working from Ghana, not in Ghana, so working from Ghana, and from there I kind of felt like, you know what, I can start kind of thinking about moving out here, seeing how it's going to work. So I would probably say I've been more in a transition, but the focus has always been to do something out here. I have a great passion for fitness and wellness, and it's quite interesting. It's probably, I think it started when a point in my career or in my life where things just weren't as great as they should be. I found that wellness and fitness was kind of like my place of solace. So from that,
Nice.
I started kind of talking to friends, and I found that even friends who I used to post some of my activities on socials, and I had friends who used to watch but never said anything. But once we met in person, they used to say, "Look, I started running because I used to see you wake up in the winter at 5 a.m., posting videos of you running," and that kind of got me started. And initially it felt like work, but over time it also became a place of solace, because running, if you're a runner, sometimes when you're running with that music on, you're locked in. You can sometimes get some clear thoughts,
Right.
processes during that journey. So from doing that, I've always been an active person, playing football, basketball, that kind of stuff. I'm more with friends and stuff. But once I started running, I started kind of looking more into fitness and wellness, and kind of understanding the benefits of doing it. Because if you're a runner, running is great, but you need to build certain muscles to also aid that. And so from doing that, I kind of realized that there is something here that you can kind of work with. So over the years, I've been quite involved from weightlifting, CrossFit, you name it. I've dabbled in it, and it's been very great. And from that, I've always had a passion to just kind of encourage people around me, because I'm a great believer. You lay the foundations, because as the older you get, if you don't have those foundations, you kind of realize that even stuff like
Right.
it shapes what you eat, your thought
Yep.
process, how you structure your life. I think some of my close friends always say, when I'm stressed, sometimes they can tell, because that's where I probably train the hardest. So from
Okay.
that, I just started talking to a lot of people, and there was a lot of interest. It's not that people don't want to do it, but I think there isn't enough education out there around the wellness,
Sure. Sure.
especially in Africa. And sometimes, Africa has its headache. So a lot of people think
Yep.
people who go to the gym and stuff, your life is good. But it's
Yep.
also educating people to understand and appreciate that it's beyond that, because it has wider benefits in the long run. So from that,
Right.
I had this idea about, initially it was more about starting a wellness festival on the continent, because living in London, there's a lot of that, and it's a very great networking space. But on the continent, you find that there isn't enough of that, and it's mainly because it's just people don't talk about it enough. But I think as time went on, my co-founder said, "Look, why don't we start from somewhere practical, where we can slowly build that network, that community of like-minded people, and in due time,
Okay.
you can grow it and make it what you really want it to be."
Okay.
And from that, that's
Okay.
where,
So let's get into that.
yeah. So from
That's where
that,
Active Nomads came into
that's
play,
where
right?
Active Nomads came into play. And as you said about Active Nomads, is building a community of just like-minded people who just want to really explore the continent, and whilst enjoying that journey. Because I think
Okay.
around Europe, around the world, there are a lot of these opportunities, but on the continent there isn't enough. And Africa is a beautiful continent. From the
Yes.
different countries, they have so much to offer from
Yep.
north to south, east to west. There are options. So Active Nomads aims to definitely, I think, just try and curate wellness retreats across the continent so that people get to see the continent in a different light, whilst also
Yeah.
building themselves, building a good network of people, and just having fun together, really.
Nice. So let's talk about that a little bit. So you kind of we did all your background and then into, kind of your fitness journey and people kind of following that fitness journey and seeing you as someone who is knowledgeable in the space, right? So then you started talking to folks and then you ended up getting the co-founder and then you decided to move through this process of building out these wellness retreats. But
Yeah.
before we talk about what you guys are doing with Active Nomads, can you help people understand a little bit about what a wellness retreat is? Because I know it's something that generally I see people, let's say, of the Caucasian persuasion
Yep.
doing wellness retreats. That's what I've seen mostly. You and I have spoken about this when I'm in the States. I've heard people, go to Arizona and they got crystals and they're doing yoga and all this stuff. But can you talk about what is a wellness retreat in general? And then you mentioned, the beautiful coastlines and how beautiful the continent of Africa is. So maybe we can also get into, you know, how does the backdrop of Africa play into your version of wellness retreats, which is a bit different from maybe what people are doing in Europe and in the United States and
Um,
elsewhere?
I think fundamentally, wellness retreats are usually just spaces where people go and try and work on self and rediscover self because life gets busy and it comes in many shapes and forms. I said, like, it could even be a journey by yourself, but I think sometimes you find that with these journeys, if you're doing it with people, it helps. So some people do yoga retreats, some people do, let's say, a hiking retreat, a camping retreat. It comes in many shapes and forms. So I wouldn't say there is one way to do it, but what you find in Europe is it's a very developed market. It's heavily invested in globally. The wellness market is valued about 6.3 trillion. So why is Africa not tapping into that market? you know, uh,
Mm,
and it's a question that needs to be answered. We can't always be playing catch up. We have a beautiful continent that offers landscapes of all. A lot of people leave Europe um, and come and climb, some of the highest peaks on our continent. A lot of people come on the continent, go. I used to work with a colleague who used to do 100K marathon across somewhere in South Africa. So there are these things are being done, but what you find is sometimes we as Africans, even on our own continent, are not partaking in these activities. So why don't we make it accessible to our own? Because it would be a shame that we've got all this amazing landscape around us, but we don't appreciate it. And it has to take someone to come from outside for us to now, you know, appreciate what we have. So I think for Active Nomads, it's really about picking locations that have got enough to offer, because we do like to kind of incorporate a mix of activities from yoga, from hikes, from ATV rides, golfing sessions, horse riding, waterfall massages, name it. And we also just trying to get people to also appreciate the food on the continent, because in different parts of Africa there is a lot of good food which are quite less processed, but we're also getting into the habit of eating a lot of processed foods. So wellness
right.
definitely comes from what you're eating, what you're putting into your body, how you're feeling from within, the conversations we're having. So we even do therapy sessions. And interestingly enough, when we've had mini sessions, some of the best parts that people have enjoyed is a therapy session. But I remember years ago, before I even started doing therapy, it was a very foreign concept. because as Africans, we don't talk about things. Take it on the chin, keep it moving. And so a big part of it is also educating people to appreciate that there are things. It doesn't always have to be getting on a plane and going somewhere. We can do these things on our own continent. If you look at places like Zanzibar and Zanzibar, if you're looking at places like Asini Beach in Ivory Coast, if you're looking at Cape Town, Namibia, all these countries have amazing waterfalls. They have amazing landscapes to hike. I've been a great fan of hiking, and I've hiked a lot in Europe. And it's amazing to be one with nature, going out there, breathing in that fresh air, just looking even around you. Because I walk a lot, and sometimes going on walks, it's like sometimes it's like getting around challenges through that journey, because you're going on a walk. Okay, you walk this path all the time. There's a big log in the way. What do? You figure out a way around it, and there's a lesson in that.
Right.
Nature teaches us a lot of things. So the idea is really to go to places that are picturesque in nature, that allows you to disconnect from the everyday hassles and realize that sometimes you don't have to get on a plane. You can even go to a couple of towns away from you, and you come back feeling very refreshed. But also just going there, sometimes, there's nothing wrong with going and just sitting there, but sometimes going and indulging in what's happening locally, putting yourself out there goes a very long way. So that's really some of the fundamental reasons why we feel that Africa cannot wait for somebody to come from outside, or a Caucasian to turn up and offer these things before we start realizing that this is there. Why don't we do it ourselves? We've been waiting.
Absolutely.
So why not?
Absolutely. So on that point, you have a gentleman named Tyrese Mafuru asking, damn, how do I sign up?
So we are on all the social platforms. Instagram is Active Nomads Global. We are on TikTok as Active Nomads Global, and then on Twitter as well, or X as we call it now. We have a YouTube channel, which is work in progress. We are on LinkedIn as well, because Active Nomads offers, we curate, the plan is to curate retreats at pivotal parts in the year, but also we do offer bespoke packages, and we offer corporate packages. So we are really pushing to also incorporate the corporate aspect into the workplace, because it's a great way to also build your team. Go away with your team.
Absolutely.
Leave the computers behind. Get to know each other outside of the office. And so we are working on that a great deal to also push that package in within the continent and outside the continent, because it will be also good to bring people in, which means that brings revenue to the continent. So there's definitely a lot of that with a bespoke, even for it's time we do things different. It's not always about, it's a hen night, let's go get plastered somewhere. Why don't we organize a wellness retreat amongst our friends and go, or even I was chatting to a friend earlier today. They're like, we're thinking of doing a couples retreat. So for a minimum of 6 people upwards, we can curate something for you, so that you can also disconnect. And we tend to consult with our customers as well to understand what they want, where their interests lie, and make sure that we incorporate as much of that into our planning as possible.
Sorry, my network has been a bit aggressively working against me. As you know, I am in Salon, Sierra Leone. Sorry, folks. But this is all really good stuff. So one person is saying, come to Uganda, guys. Lots of opportunities. Come, let's do a joint venture partnerships with land. East Africa is looking at redeveloping the lakeside land. So on that note, I wanted to ask you, where are you doing some of these wellness retreats across the continent? You mentioned that the continent is vast and has a lot of amazing landscapes. Where are you doing some of these wellness retreats?
So we are planning retreats in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, Asini Beach, around that region to start off. We're looking at Ghana. So there are options in Ghana. So ones, I guess, we decide which location works best. We'll do something in Ghana as well. We are looking at Cape Town. We are looking at the Seychelles. We're looking at
Nice.
North Africa as well. So Marrakesh is quite beautiful. Last time I was out there, you've got the Atlas Mountains in the background. So there are options which you can hike. You could do stuff in the desert, and just enjoy these different locations. So we are definitely looking at locations from north to south, east to west. So Tanzania, Zanzibar, Sierra Leone is also one of the places. So we're definitely doing some groundwork and establishing some partners in these regions. And in due time, once we get the right locations and the right interest, we'll definitely put out some information about these retreats on our socials as well, so people can sign up. So I would say, you can go on our website, activenomads.com, and then you can get on our wait list so that when these things come out. Oh, and don't forget Uganda, because we got reminded by Uganda as well. Active Nomads, you can sign up to our wait list on there. And then that way, anytime we put out any retreats, you get the information, because we also love to make these retreats memorable. For each retreat, we don't try to go over a certain number. So if you're on the wait list, it's a good way to kind of hear about it quick. But as interest grows, we would increase how many retreats we do in a year as well over time. So yeah.
Okay, so a couple questions more. So where did the name Active Nomads come from? How did you decide on the name Active Nomads? I think it has a nice ring to it, but I'm interested to hear how you came up with that.
So I would say I'll definitely give a lot of credit to it came from conversations with me and my co-founder, definitely. But we worked with a great graphic designer who actually got the message and helped to design the logo and the brand. It's a company, Monday.co, based in Ghana. And she does most of our content stuff for us. So it was more like, okay, we want to get a group of people who love to travel, and also want to get active and explore the world. So it kind of came together from our discussions, and kind of banging our heads together. So and we kind of just arrived at it, to be fair, and it seemed to just sing the right notes when we discussed it. So we decided to go with it.
Got it. And then in terms of your customer, right? Like who's your customer? Who is the person who says, I want to sign up for a wellness retreat? There's a certain age demographic, certain kind of professional. Like who's the person who's signing up for these and is looking to go on these wellness retreats? And who would someone expect to see on a wellness retreat?
I think so far we've had a mix of professionals, so from different industries. So I wouldn't say we're gonna say we are industry agnostic. Ideally, it's open to the world, and thankfully, there's a great pool of people in the world that you can network with. So anybody who can afford it, first of all, who's above 18, because maybe in the future we'll look at chaperoned retreats, but now ideally anyone, an adult who can afford it, any professional from any background, because the idea is if you look at our slogan is explore, energize, enjoy. So we want people who
explore, energize, enjoy,
to come with that mind frame. So people who just want to disconnect from everyday stresses, who want to meet an amazing group of people, who want to build a great network of people and be part of a great community, really. So yeah. And age is not a barrier. 18 upwards, let's do this. Because we have a wonderful team of yoga instructors, fitness instructors, and a host and a therapist who know what they're doing. So we do curate our experiences to fit the age demographic, and it can be a mix of groups. We're able to cater to that as well, so it's no problem at all.
Nice. And then you know, you mentioned corporate retreats as well. So, I think when you and I spoke, we talked about the fact that I had done a corporate retreat when I worked at Jumia at Aqua Safari Resort in Ghana. Shout out to Aqua Safari. It was a good time. What does like a corporate retreat look like? And if someone's here and they've never heard of corporate retreat, what is like the benefit of doing a corporate retreat for a company, like their senior leadership or a specific group of people, a team within an organization?
I think, look, ultimately, company wants to make their profit, which is fine. But research has proven that sometimes taking people out of the work environment and just allowing them to unplug from work, getting to know each other, because once those relationships are established outside of work, and you build trust within your team, you do get a more productive team. So most retreats would incorporate some of the traditional offerings that Active Nomads gives, but on top of that, we tend to include some strategizing sessions so that companies can also discuss their strategy sessions outside of the typical, or we all sat in a boardroom, which is sometimes can feel a bit clinical. So get out of that
Yes.
corporate boardroom, put on your shorts, be around colleagues, roll up your colors if you have to, and just get to know each other outside of work. Because, as I alluded to earlier, when you sometimes in work mode all the time, you actually forget that you have an amazing person sat next to you who, if you allow to feel relaxed enough around you, can be more productive. And research has shown that it does work. And from our conversation, you actually mentioned when you guys did a corporate retreat, it was an amazing thing, and people were always asking when is the next one, because people were actually looking forward to work a lot more. So it's definitely a worthy investment, and in that way, you contribute to your team, and in the long run, that benefit comes back to you as a company. So
Yeah, I agree so much. I mean, when we did ours, that was the main thing. Was like, one, like, how do we follow up on this? And we need to kind of keep this thing going. But two, it really gave us an opportunity to get to know each other. Having spent, a large majority of my career in New York City, most of my engagement with my coworkers was over alcohol after work, right? And and that was fine, I guess, but that was a different way to get to know people. And in this instance, with the corporate retreat, I thought what was so interesting was, and by the way, this is the first time I ever did a corporate retreat, and I had done it in Ghana at Jumia. But it really allowed me to get to know the people that I work with, especially many of them that were new. And we got to know each other on a different level. And as I mentioned to you, I met with many of them, as many of them were Nigerian, and they had gone back to Nigeria. I met with them in Nigeria later on. It built a bond and a relationship that it's hard to describe or to recreate unless you're in a circumstance like this. And on the topic of corporate retreats, just because I think one of the challenges we have on the continent of Africa, and I think let's bring it back to like Africa in general, is a lot of companies in Africa are managed by people in Europe, right? Or non-Africans. And so a lot of times you have this challenge of being on the ground, trying to grow a business, and your boss is in Dubai, like mine was, or in France, like what my CEO was. And they're trying to give you directions for what to do on the ground, and it's very challenging. And I felt like when I got a chance to meet with all of these colleagues outside of work, it helped us to work together on one accord, and also to have each other's backs when it came time to share not so great news or make recommendations about pivoting and moving into another direction when you got leadership who hasn't been in the ground on the country for 2 years, right? Telling you how you should be running things in a country that they're not even from, right? And so when I talk to folks who had worked at other companies prior to that and have gone to other companies after, what I found is that that was a challenge like across the board. Many countries in Africa, many companies in Africa, that is what's happening. And I do think something like that, a corporate retreat really does help to get people to work together and build, and build. And so I think this is super important. The wellness retreats, the corporate retreats. Someone mentioned couples retreats. Did you list that in your group of types of retreats that you
Yeah,
do?
so with the bespoke packages, when you do reach out to us, definitely we can curate retreats for couples. So it's something we offer. We also just launched our day retreats, which will be starting from the 21st of December. So you can find that it's been advertised on our socials, Active Nomads at Active Nomads Global on Instagram, and also Get Your Guide. You can find some of our packages on there, but we've just launched the day retreats because we've kind of noticed that this time of the year some people have to do day retreats. So we are currently working with a company to actually run a day retreat for them, and which is exciting. Looking forward to it. So definitely check it out. But definitely we do offer couples retreats, but under our bespoke retreat packages. So just drop us a quick note, either on socials. We've got our numbers on there, or even on our website, and we can tell us what your plan is, what you have in mind, what your budget is, and then we can curate something and share it with you, and then we can make it happen.
Nice, nice. All right. So for those couples out there who are looking for a retreat, this is another way to do it. So you got couples retreats, you have wellness retreats, and you have corporate retreats.
And then the day
So
as well.
and the day retreats, right? So you mentioned the day retreats, meaning for the day, going back home, same day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's a bit of a long day, but it's packed with exciting stuff. And I think one thing we also try to do is making sure that so we do offer making sure that we give people an experience to kind of experience the kind of nutrition they want. So the kind of food that we provide, we make sure they are nutrient dense foods, and just introducing people to different ways to kind of enjoy food, but whole foods. That have much better benefits because your body works with that much better. We also do offer some nice merch on our retreats. So it's one of the biggest favorites is our Stanley Cups. People love them. We do offer yoga mats, journaling journals, because we found that for some of the retreats we've done, when we've done the journaling, people love to write these things down, and people actually build that habit whilst they've left as well. We do offer baseball caps, and all these tend to come as part of some of the merch that you get on our retreats. So yeah, you do get some exciting gifts to go back with.
So you mentioned some of the food. I am a plant-based eater, and I have found it that it's a lot easier to find, the healthier food options, fresh fruits, etc.
Yep.
here. Can you talk a little bit about how not only is it about your mental wellness and your physical wellness, and you mentioned some of the athletic activity, etc. But what about the food? Can you talk a little bit about how you source your food and what you recommend while you're there and all of that kind of stuff? What is the food situation like on one
Um,
of these kinds of retreats?
so traditionally, we don't encourage a lot of alcohol drinking because it can be counterintuitive. But if it's something you want, we can provide it. So it's not against our policy. But we also try and source our foods as locally as possible. A lot
Sure.
of fruits, a lot of fresh juices. So we work with some local companies who produce some of these things locally, and so we source from them directly. Sometimes we go in the market, we get ingredients, and then we get a chef to prepare it. So and we use like some of the local greens. So in Ghana, you have something called kontomire, which is, I guess, spinach. Is similar to spinach,
Mhm.
which is rich in iron and a lot of those natural nutrients. So, and it can be eaten either with proteins in it or not, or you can have it with some sunflower seeds, and that kind of stuff. So we try and incorporate a lot of the local dishes as well, because I think traditionally, I guess, African food can be it's usually natural in most instances. I think for some of our dishes, it takes forever to cook, but we try to find
Sure.
simpler options. So we tend to do a lot of grills, a lot of fresh fruits. We love coconut. One thing we swear about, we swear about it's turmeric ginger shots. So we tend to provide those on our retreats.
Mm.
I can attest to that. My co-founder can attest to that. We've been using that religiously for years now, and I can see the difference in terms of like my gut. I'm not. I'm there's still. I'm not saying I'm the expert, but it worked for me. And when I've introduced it to people, they love
Okay.
it. So we try to get fresh, natural foods as possible, and also introduce people to habits based on our experiences. To say, look, okay, maybe have you tried this? Because I used to get a lot of inflammation and a lot of bloating, but since I've been religiously taking my turmeric and ginger shots every morning, and it also actually um, means that I'm not always hungry because it does
Okay.
wonders for me as well. So we're still, learning on this journey as well. Anyway, so in future we are open to um, great options out there that we can always incorporate. And when we go to wherever we're having our retreats, we try and see if there's anything locally sourced that we can include in our menu whilst we're out there as well. So yeah.
Okay. So this has been really enlightening, just in terms of well, first of all, what a wellness retreat is, what you can expect, corporate retreats, day retreats, couples retreats. Then we talked about the food and some of the rigorous physical activity, or some of the physical activity that that really
You
helps
know,
to
you
get
know,
your blood
in terms
flowing.
of the physical activities, you don't have to be an expert at what you do. Yeah, all levels are welcome. As I say,
Okay.
we can adapt it to fit the group. So we don't want to scare people off. It's not like you're not
Yep.
gonna have to be
Yep.
doing. You're not gonna have to be climbing the Everest or anything. Um, but
Right.
we do. So I think one of the best yoga um, sessions we had a sunset yoga on one of the peaks in a town about a couple of hours drive outside of a car, and that was amazing. Just seeing the sunset whilst meditating, that was beautiful. So yeah, check out our page. We've got some images out there. The ATV rides were a hit. Yeah, we did some waterfall massages. So we do try and
Okay.
make it as exciting as possible and just get people to just enjoy themselves and come back feeling great and can't wait to sign up to the next retreat, really.
Nice. Now, Pro Woman asked if you own the retreat I went on. No, this was long before I met Sena, the retreat I went on. But had I known him, we would have gone on his retreat for sure. Um, so, you know, was there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to cover? Because I think a bunch of people asked some questions, lots of comments. But was there anything that we did not review as it pertains to active nomads that you want to, make sure that the world knows, or this
Um,
audience knows?
I think we've mentioned most things, but I think it's time for us to shine that light in Africa. Africa has been playing catch up for
Mm,
long enough, and it doesn't have to be. We all can set up a tech company, or we all can be farmers. We have to actually appreciate our continent for what it offers and try and find
hmm.
opportunities within it. So I think um, really excited about Active Nomads and what we
Yep.
can offer. And the long term plan is definitely to um, just show the world what a great continent it is. I think um, living in England for so long, there's times where, especially around Christmas, when you look on TV and you're seeing certain adverts and they're like, oh, let's raise aid for Africa and stuff like that. Africa is a very rich continent, has a lot to offer. Africa
Hmm.
is self-sufficient enough. So it's time that we do enough to highlight to the world that this is our home, this is where we belong, and it has a lot to offer, and we can make it great. And so we can all do it in our own little way by supporting businesses, homegrown businesses, by pushing our brands out there. So look, I think, and I think it's wellness is still something which is seen as a luxury thing to do on the continent. But
Yep. Yep.
my advice to people would be ask the question. Even if you're not ready, read about it. Ask people who are doing it, because wellness can be going for a 20-minute walk every day, and you would see the
Right.
benefit, because it's also
Right.
about consistent habits. So, yeah, would I want people to come and sign up to Active Nomads and have that experience with us? 100%. But I think the long
Right.
goal is that, we want an active continent, that people are building
Mm.
habits that go a long way. Most Africans will travel abroad and walk everywhere, but we hardly walk on our own continent. Um,
Right.
it's
Right.
building some of these habits and just understanding that little habits go a long way. We always say little drops of water makes a mighty ocean. Most people eat, go home, sleep, watch TV, do nothing. The
Hmm.
idea of acting nomads is, okay, let's take you out of that environment, and then you appreciate that, okay, this can actually be done. I have
Yep.
a lot of friends who I encourage to walk, whether I'm in the country or outside of the country, wherever they are. I do tell them, you know what, let's go out there, let's walk, do something. Even if it's on your compound, you don't have to. Yeah, people would say, yeah, but it's not safe to walk on the streets. But just build tiny habits. Like build functional habits. Sitting down, getting
Yep.
up. It's a habit, and if you're not doing enough of it,
Hmm.
we didn't understand it. But as we get older as well, wellness is a way to give yourself that longevity, because the older you get, if you're not taking or building these habits, what's going to happen is when you get sick and stuff like that. And we live on a continent where,
Yep.
unfortunately, um, a lot of these things are expensive. You don't want to, and I always tell my friends, you don't want to get sick before you find out. You're better off investing and building the habit before something happens. So, shoot us a message, even if it's just an inquiry.
Hmm.
If you want some tips, feel free. I'm happy to chip in, and if it gets you to join us on our retreats, why not? It's a win-win for both of us.
Nice. Nice. And so a human being on 017 says, right, and there's so much greenery still to work with, and we can create and maintain beautiful spaces that highlight the natural beauty of the continent.
100%.
Francis Seven Wilson says, Africa is not poor, but we have some poor-minded Africans. We need to use our resources and use it for our own benefit. If any country wants it, they should pay in our local currency. Yes, all good points, So lastly, I mean, you mentioned people can reach out to you. Do you want to say again, where can people find you online,
Yeah.
whether
So
that's the website or
okay,
social media?
so we have a website, amazing website, which is built by Monday.co. So activenomads.com. Sign up to our wait list, and we will put up enough information on there. We know everybody uses this other social media handles. So we are on X, we are on TikTok, we're on Instagram, um, LinkedIn, YouTube. Active Nomads Global. Active Nomads Global. That's the handle on there. So check it out. Yeah, drop us a message, give us a follow, and let's go on this journey together.
There it is. I love it. Well, yeah, I mean, so I definitely want to thank you again for taking the time to do this. I know that we didn't have a lot of time to prep and give you a chance to take some time to work. I know you got a lot going on, so I do appreciate you taking the time. Um, and those of you who are out there who know anybody who needs a corporate retreat, who needs a wellness retreat, whether that's you or somebody you know who needs somebody who needs just a day, just a day to get away, or couples, then Active
Or even
Nomads
friends,
is,
friends.
or yeah,
I
or
think
friends,
yeah,
or with friends,
friends.
yeah, with a group of friends too,
Um,
right?
stag do's, hen nights, all that stuff. We can accommodate you. So don't feel like it's for a specific group. And as I say, we can curate within Ghana, outside of Ghana, across the continent, we're happy to do the groundwork, do the legwork, and make your dream come to life. So hit us up.
Boom. Boom. There it is. There it is. Well, Sena, I really appreciate you taking the time. Those of you who are watching, make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, to the video, and also head over to Active Nomads Global across all platforms. Follow what they're doing. And if you know anybody who needs it, share this with them. So with that, guys, thanks for watching. See you all on the next live stream.
Thanks, Joe. It's
Bye,
been a
guys.
pleasure. Thanks for making it happen.
No problem. Thank you.
All right.
Of course. Of course. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.